Yeah, Golden.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and very good evening to all the new and old nurtr users joining from different parts of the world. Thank you for being here with us today. My name is Bence Bernat from Hungary. I am a professional chess player with a peak ELO rating of 22-28 and also a nurtr Foundation coach. I will be moderating today's session. We welcome now Grandmaster Davor once again onto the nurtr platform with his camp on Bishop pair in Endgames. For all the new nurtr subscribers, let us learn something about the life and chess journey of Davor. So Davor is a grandmaster from Croatia who has been playing chess for almost 40 years. He achieved his grandmaster title in 2005 with the top ELO rating of 2602. He has been a Croatian champion, a member of the Croatian team in the Olympic Games, also European champion. He has a very good knowledge of 1e4 with white and as well with black 1d5 and d5. And also, Davor is an electronic engineer and has a full-time job as a computer scientist in a multinational bank. Yes, now some do's and don'ts. Please use the chat box for answering. Use the Q&A box to ask the questions. And also, please avoid spamming the chat and avoid repeating the questions. If you are unable to log in, what should you do? Please bear with us. You will be able to enjoy the content from the masters very soon. Also, coming up next, live cams on initiatives with help of surprising moves. The date is 8th of April, and the mentor will be Grandmaster Boris Avruk, and there is the coupon code. Thank you. Now we welcome Grandmaster Davor. Hello, Davor. How are you?
Hello, Bence. Nice to meet you again. Hello to everyone. And thank you very much to join today's session. And we will continue to our session with the complex endgame. And today the topic is the two bishops in the complex endgame, how to handle it and how to play with them. So let's start. Just give me a moment, please. So that's it. I hope you see my screen, and this is the first position what we come to see it, and the power of the bishop pair. Just a few words about it. I must tell you that average value of the bishop is at 3.4 pawns, and the knight is at 3.3, let's say, according to the computer. So bishop is slightly better than the knights. But I must add, the two bishops are extremely good and official and very strong together, that their power is sometimes much more than, let's say, 6.8, what is the sum of them. And sometimes, like in the position what is in front of you, you can see that even the queen cannot stop the bishops and the two pawns when they are coordinated, the two bishops and the pawns, pass pawn, when they are so coordinated. Look at this, for example. This example is, I will like to tell you that when you have the two bishops, look at this. When you have the two bishops and the pass pawn, your opponent needs two pieces, not even one. Even the queen cannot handle the position even the queen cannot handle the position of with the pass pawn. So like here, after h6, look at that, the coordination of the bishops, let's say, they can protect the king from the checks, and the pawn just go to queen. This is a so surprising, yes, that the two bishops, when they are so good supporter for the passed pawn, and there is no, the opponent side needs, actually the opponent need two pieces to block them. To be honest, today I will show you that this is one of my main strategy, my main weapon, what I use in my games, and one of them was against the Grandmaster Pavasovic when I was white, and this was the position. Look at this. When you have the two bishops, why this is so strong weapon? You don't need to be very good in the middle game and to take something. You don't need to even take the material advantage. Sometimes it's enough just to have the two bishops in the endgame, like here, and the passed pawn. And look, let's, for example, this my game when I was white, and we just leave the move is a 41. We just reach the time control, and white was on the move. What do you suggest now? Which plan can be for white here, strategically planning? How you estimate this position, for example? Can you tell me? Just take a look a little bit. Material looks equal here. Yes, but I agree with you, Danush. The black white is good with king f2 +1. Okay, play f4 and bring king to create pass pawn. Well, and win easily. Yes, Srinivas Rao. That's the best explanation. So look at this. Here it's even the f4 is not necessary, and GM b3 with the passed pawn is quite good. Stop the knight from knight d5 entering. Well, but the knight d5 is not so boring. King f2, and you all of yours go to the right direction. So that was the centralization of the king. And by the way, I'm decided, of course, he will go with the knight to d5. That's true, but as I said, the black needs two pieces to stop the passed pawn. So if knight go to good centralization square like d5, then black cannot simply stop the passed pawn. And I decided first to make immediately to make a passed pawn with b3. And after take, and look at this now. It's a problem for black. How to stop and how to control the a4. He's now under control. Black want to centralize the king, and white challenge him with bishop d4. Attack the knight and challenge him. How to stop the pawn? Look at that. If knight go to d5, then the problem is that the pawn is, for the moment, the pawn is not stoppable, and white actually the white can start to push the pawn forward, and he become a danger one. And in the other hand, if he play the move like knight e4, then in this case, knight on e4 is locked forever. Look at this. He cannot back to the game. And if somehow white king comes to the, and this is not impossible that white kings come, he will take him, but actually white will go with his king here. And now let's see, after h6, g6, h4, let's say the position is still quite unpleasant for, say, I will stop the king, and the position is still quite unpleasant for black. Something similar what's happened still in the game. So look at this. The main reason, okay, black played knight d5, but the main problem for black was after g6, king go to e7, and now look at Black king want to go to d6, but white don't allow him. That's the big, yes, bishop e5, Srinivas, yes, bishop e5, great, that's the move. White don't allow the centralization of black king. And I played the bishop e5. So black must allow his king to come to the center somehow. So he played bishop c6. And now I don't want to push the pawn so far. First, I use the method of centralization. I play king e2, king d7, king d3, and white king goes to the d4 very strongly. And white king on the d4 white king on d4 has two plans. One is to go with the to the e5, and another one is to go maybe to the c5. So white maximize his. Well, the a5 is absolutely okay, and this is a very next move. But white don't want to have the problems with, let's say, king c6, king b5 to attack him. a5 is possible, but white first improve the position of his king to maximum because he need a king. So he play first centralization of the king. Now black may be threat to control, and maybe black likes to go with king to the queen side, but white don't care so much. And now we come to one typical moment. We will see many times in two bishops, but we will see this little bit later, that the fix, I say this is the fixer, like h4, they fix the pawn structure on the opposite sides and don't allow the pawn structure to be flexible. Now, after h4, this is a fixer for the g6, for example. But few words about this we will say later. And in the game, the black play king b6 with idea king e5. But look at this now, how the white stop the activity of black king, let's say, to go to a5 and b4, for example. Do you see, let's say, how you can officially stop this maneuver? Exactly, bravo, Srinivas. Yes, bishop g3, that's the good. Bishop g3. Yes, bishop d6 also is possible, but bishop g3 was my solution with bishop e1. If he play king a5, then bishop e1. I restrict the possibility of, look at this, how two bishops are so official. They control the black king completely, and now the white king comes to the game with very, very strong. And by the way, the d6 is a free for the king. So maybe this is the reason why, let's say, a little bit better is that king can go into d6. Okay, after bishop g3, black play bishop c8, little passive move, and white play bishop f2 with expected bishop king e5 check. And black king, as we see, is in challenging position now. Where to go with the king? He decided to go to c6. And look one more time. Of course, white likes to push the a pawn to a5, but then let's say maybe king b5 is coming. So if we play a5 immediately, then the king comes to b5. Exactly. 3 takes, you are right. Bishop to c4. Another restriction, Srinivas also find it. So look at this, the two bishops simply cut all these squares are unavailable for the black king, and now the road for this pawn is ready to push. Look at this, how the two bishops support the passed pawn, and black, as I said, black cannot stop it with one piece. He needed two pieces. So he needed king and the knight, king and the bishop. And when he put the king and some pieces on the queen side, then white has a free hands to attack on the king side. So look at this, one check. And now finally pawn goes forward. Very difficult position for black, because the best pawn, look at this, material is equal, but position is completely winning for white. Material is equal, but because the two bishops are great support of the pawn, and by the way, the king is in attacking position, very attacking position, to take the e6, to go to the f6. And look at also the pawn structure fixed. All black pawns, they're all fixed. And now black play f4. White just push the pawn. And when black played h6, white pushed the pawn. So look at this, white pawn go to a7. Now only move for black is actually bishop b7, because king b7, you probably see that it doesn't work at all. King is not so good because it's two moves, two checks. Yes, bishop a6 or bishop c6 is out of good. And why not to play knight b6? The answer is quite simple. Knight b6 doesn't work because of two reasons. Knight to b6 doesn't work two reasons, because simply takes, and Srinivas give an explanation why white is material up, because active king and two bishops. Yes, and okay, I can agree with this mathematical approach too, but strictly speaking, on the chess, we focus on the chess. The mechanism, the white is winning because his pawn is superficial here, and now the bishop is bad, and white don't hurry. I'm not hurried to take the, let's say, e6 for pawn. Look at this, because better for white is to play this move. And you see there is a, why the h4 pawn, let's say, is good, because black doesn't has any chance to take the a7 pawn. So let's say on g5, of course, white will play h5 and then go, and we will see later, these fixer are extremely dangerous for black. So now white, of course, not promote the a pawn. He will go with bishop c5, bishop f8, takes, and then the h pawn just go in. And pawn on a7 is just a deflector of all black army, king and the bishop. Here, my colleague played knight e3, but after simply move, do you see now? Yes, Gilliam. Bishop e4 is, bishop e3, bishop e4 is enough, because bishop e4 leads to, if he takes, this simply line shows how black must control, and that this simply line shows how black is in desperate position, because this endgame is completely hopeless for him. So that's the reason why I'm opted for bishop e4 here. And my opponent takes on g2, but now the last phase of the game was with two bishops, and such an active king like here is absolutely hopeless position for black. h5 and king goes take. And by the way, look at this. I don't want to take on h6, because my king will be in a little bit passive position after this. Just improve the position of my bishops. And okay, this is a mistake. This was a mistake. The right move order was this, and now king g7. And then they play king e8. And look at how black doesn't have any chance with two pass pawn. There's no any chance simply. And also the knight cannot find the good outpost. And only now now white takes, because there is nobody can stop now king g7 and h6, and black finally resign. So Look at this. This is a very nice example. How strong is the pass pawn? Look at this. The pass pawn was a deflector of the black army. Black king must go to the king's side. So process of centralization. And now bishops stops any black activity and gives full support to the pass pawn. And then look at this. There is a very good and full support for the pass pawn to go forward. And now the pawn on a7 is a decision one, and after bishop d3 with bishop e4, the game was practically over. Very simple, very nice. Okay. Now I will show you the one of the technical game from Gurevich against the Sandipan Chanda. When Sandipan played, look at how this game goes. And I'd like to tell you, okay, the Gurevich takes the bishop pairs after 5 moves, and black plays quite well. But look at this. Still here, black plays okay. But now, in such a type of position, it's 8 pawns. Of course, there is nobody don't care about 2 bishops. Everybody say, okay, 2 bishops is nice, but what else? But I will tell you that you must, the tendency of the play is the position. The pawns will be changed. There will be less and less pawns on the board. And how less pawns on the board? This is increase the pressure of 2 bishops. So look at this. 1 pawn leads, and basically I will suggest here to play the e5 move to keep some kind of tension. But black takes, and now black played the d5 move, and the theory statement of this position was, the theory statement of this position say that this position is equal. But I don't think so. I think this position is very dangerous and very difficult to play for black. Look at this. I can say that, please, I will avoid always such type of position to play with black, because this is a quite difficult. There is no direct win, of course. There is no any reason to say that white is winning, but believe me, the good technical player like Karpov or Gurevich or today Carlsen, if you give them such a position, they will score from 10 games, they will beat 7.5, 2.5, maybe even 8-2 will be the result. 5 wins, 5 draws, something like that will be ended in the white favor, with no wins for black. So such a type of position, maybe computer will estimate them like equal, but believe me, this is not equal, and avoid them. We will see now why this is not so good for. And the reason actually is simple. White has a clear bishop pairs. That's bishop pairs is a big advantage. This is sometimes like a pawn up, believe me. But okay, let's see. White centralized his rooks. And sooner or later, we can speak now, is it good for black to exchange or not? But sooner or later, the rook exchange will happen. And now we are in front of such a position. So look at this a little bit. And look what you need firstly. Always when you have a white, when you have 2 bishops, always is good to fix the weakness and to make a fixer on opponent position. Yes, Nilesh, very good. b5 is a fixer of the pawn on a7. That's a very good idea to create the weakness on a7. And actually, white do it firstly white play e4 just to remove the knight, and then he go for the b5 to make a weakness on a7. By the way, Now it's some kind of threat. If you want to go with the bishop to immediately to take this pawn, this maneuver leads to, this is a direct threat. But look at this small move like b5. This is a great, we say, the fixer, and forever the pawn on a7 is the weak. Okay, black of course close the position, he don't allow it. White maybe want to go with the bishop to the b4 to d6. Play bishop c4, but black play knight g6. And after bishop b4, black attack the white bishop. And now one more time, look at this. White don't allow the knight to go to easy to c5. He don't allow it and simply play the move bishop to e2. A restriction of the knights. Okay, black play bishop b7, logical move. Attack the pawn, and white play f3. And look now the position. Still, everybody can say, okay, this is a dead draw and so on, but I tell you, this is absolutely not a dead draw. The bishop want to go to, and actually black faced a huge issue. Exactly. Everything is solid and better for white. Yes, but okay, how to make a progress? Look at this. You play knight d7, bishop d6, okay. And black play g6. Black want to be solid, but white plays simply move like king f2. And now it's a question how to play with black this position. Look at this. White make a fixer. Look at this, how the strong is pawn on a5 because he fixed here. And what to do with black? White, to be honest, white has a pretty easy plan. He wants to centralize the king. And then the position is, actually the problem is for black how to hold on this position. And this is what I tell you, that such a position is extremely difficult. And please, whenever you study the openings, avoid such a line because this leads you to nowhere. Look at this. Here the black player, who is by the way very strong, Sandipan is quite strong player, but he was out of any contraplay, so he want to create something to create some space for his bishops. He play f5. And what do you suggest now for white? Do you want to play e5, king e3, or take on f5? What do you think? What is the better? What is the best? At white, being e5, Lakshmi, king e3, Srite e5. But does anybody think some Gilliam will take? Okay. And at white, definitely e5, Bongo e5, king e3. Yes, and I must tell you, and after this game, look at this, after this game, you will learn that the two bishops, king e3, two bishops like a space. Believe me, with every single pawn trade, exactly at white, good estimation, open the position. With every single pawn trade, you increase the power of the two bishops. So the correct answer here is take. Open the position. Okay, black has a two choice. He can take with e or g pawn. By the way, in the game, black takes with the g pawn to create maybe some best pawn. And by the way, if he take with the e pawn, then simply exactly check, and king e3 and black is absolutely in passive position. King will go later to d4 and bishop to d5 maybe, and look at this. Look at how the two bishops, one more time, two bishops eliminate any activity of the black king. And by the way, white king go to d4, bishop to d5, and this leads to a very, very highly unpleasant position. So black decided to take g takes f. And does anybody now have idea how to play this position now for white? D-pack, D-pack, bravo, G4, 3 also G4. Yes, you accept at white G4. Yes. So that's the good way. Pawn trade and open. Exactly. G4. And not only that. Yes, but this is a, let's say f4, king d3, king d4 is a two. It's also possible to fix them, but this is a very direct G4. And you go to create the pass pawn. The pass pawn, look at this. Here, white has the possibility, exactly, pawn majority on king side. Exactly, look at this. After G4, pawn takes, pawn takes. Look at this. White has a potential pass pawn on the king side. And actually, the black is lost here. This is so surprising. But like in my previous game, what I showed you, the black is simply lost here. Look at this. The material is equal. The position is hopeless for black. He played bishop d5. King e3 is a logical move, what you suggest, centralize the king. And after king g6, of course, white don't allow king to come to his pawns. It's a h4. And now after h6, you will see how strong is the pass pawn with the support of bishops. Yeah, bishop d3 is a good one, but actually white play even the h5. Look at this. He make one more time the fixer, and the weak is on h6. And by the way, the king g5 now doesn't work because of simply bishop f4, and black will lose the pawn. Exactly. So after h5, look at this. Please take a time a little bit to see this position. Black has the permanent problem on h6. And white, you will see now that white have the potential to make a pass pawn. By the way, now it was a move. I will send you the material and you will see this is a move 35. Now it's a 4 moves to time control. And black experienced player, pardon please, white like experienced player, don't rush here. Look at this. He just waiting for time control. He play bishop g3, play some neutrals move. Bishop e5, 37. 38. So he just played neutral moves. King d4, prepare the coming for the king. And now look at this, in the move number 40, white don't play immediately king e5, because of course everybody want to go, but he must calculate what happened after king e5, what will be here after, knight c3, what happened. Yes. So look at this. The experienced player always in time trouble to waiting time control. He play knight 30, move number 40 is a bishop e5, and he repeat 41 move. And now they reach the time control. And they say, okay, now he has time to calculate all, and he go to king e5. Okay, knight c3 is invasion. Yes, knight 3 c3. And white calculate bishop d3. And of course, black go for the pawns, and black think that this is a contraplay, strong contraplay for black. But white find the one simple tactical solution here. Does anybody see maybe what is a good white move here? Gillian, bravo, Gillian. That's the solution. King d6 with bishop e5. Yes, that's it. Great. So white play king d6 with idea of bishop e5 is a threat. That's the strong threat, bishop e5. So black must go with the knight somewhere. And look at that position, please. Look at this. Bishop e5 check. And which move you now suggest for white? Now it's one important. Nilesh, very good. Bishop d4. You want Srinivas want to advise you all of you are focused on the knight, but actually Srinivas, yes, g5. Look at this. Okay, bishop c4 is bishop c4, bishop g. Look at this. The pawn on g4 is hanging. You must be aware of pawn on g4 is hanging, so black will take the pawn on g4. On all of this move, black just takes pawns. But look at this, g5. How strong? Yes, g5 is a strong move because look at that. What I tell you in the beginning. After take, the passed pawn cannot be stopped with one piece. Yes, h6, and look at this. Black can resign because it's a check and mate by queen. So, as I told you in the beginning, the two bishops and the passed pawn cannot be stopped with just the one piece. Even the queen cannot stop them. We saw in the first position, very first position. And even the king cannot stop. King can stop the rook and the pawn, but king cannot stop two bishops and the pawn. It's not possible. Look at this. g5 was such a strong move. And even if he takes and promote. Now, let's say like the miracle, the knight is tactical weapon. Knights are very tactical, and here knights black find the solution to survive for the moment. Incredibly, black finds incredible tactical solution. He play knight c5. Yes, he attacked the bishop. And look at this, one bishop is useless, so there is no time to take on h6 because the bishop on d3 is lost and there is no h7 then. So white played knight g6. Apparently, white played bishop to g6, and now knight e4 check, and crucial tempo and take on, and he will take on g5. But okay, white takes, check. But look at this. What happened now? There is only 3 pawns on the board, but everybody see that how bishops are strong. The bishops are extremely strong now, the power of the because they can go left and right, they can go to the center, and even they're so strong that even they can't create the mating nets. This is not surprising in such an endgames that the mate exists. Look at here. Do you see here? Let's say if black plays knight e4 move, then do you see what is coming on? Yeah, exactly. Bravo, Nilesh. Check, check, and king f8, and look at this. Now it's actually bishop g8 is a checkmate. So it's very, very problem. Huge problem for the white. But black goes for another pawn. Yes, so it's also checkmate, of course. But black goes for the b5 pawn. And for the moment, the knight protects very well the king. But also white goes for the pawn. And now it's evident that how bishops are strong. Look at this. He plays a6, white takes. Play this, and look at this. Look at that. The pawn on b6 is lost. Only 2 pawns on the board. Only 2, with 2 pieces on the board. But there is no hope. Do you see, let's say, now black play knight f3. Do you see how black lost the pawn after b5? Bishop d3. Lakshmi, yes, Advait also good. Bishop d3, yes, that's the way. Bishop d3 and a4. Lakshmi, yes, Lakshmi, good. Bishop d3 and a4 won the pawn. Great. But please remember how strong are the bishop with only 3 pawns, and actually only 2 pawns, and bishop are winnings. Bishop takes, and black faced the huge issue with 2, and these 2 guys, side pawns, A and H, are definitely the worst case for the knight. In the game, white try with knight e5, bishop c4, knight d3. Okay, more or less it's logical. And now white play a5, and white create. And look at this, black must have the 2 pawns, but this is impossible. Black must have 2 pieces to protect the a6. But he go with the checks, and he like maybe to create some threats to passivize the bishop, and maybe and also bishop e2 to take on h5. And this was his last hope with king on f8 to remove the bishop and maybe to have the opposite color bishop, which also can be helpful for him. But the 2 bishops in open space has a great possibility. And look at this here. Play bishop c6. And knight finally takes. And look at it. Looks that only 1 pawn on the board, but this one is decision 1. No, bishop d5 is even stronger exchange. And look at this. The knight cannot come to the help. As I tell you, the knight hits these side pawns, and now black must resign against the last pawn. This is so painful when you must resign against the last pawn. Very nice and instructive game. And I will show you, let's say, from here how they just open the position. Look at this. And 2 pawns, the best pawn actually limited blacks a lot, and only by miracle, the knight miracle was here. King d6, and after check, remember this, please. Remember that the best pawn, 2 bishop with the best pawn is enormous strong. And now only the white with the black with knight c5 somehow hold. But look at this, only 3 pawns on the board, but white is winning. Even after bishop this take. And now with 2 pawns on the board, but white is completely winning because the b pawn is lost. And then it's not so difficult realization, let's say. And small calculation is necessary, of course, here. But now black must go to the diagonal to exchange the bishop, and after bishop exchange, all is over. And finally, now I will show you, let's say, this kind of position. Look at this. Many of yours will. This is a better position for white, definitely. But how to play it? And I will tell you the strategy in this type of position is to first put the fixer on the h5 and a5. This type, I call them a fixer. let's say this will be the plan, some plan for the white, and to transform the position to something like that, something like that. Look at this. And when you have these two fixers, they restrict a lot black, and also they make a fix on the G7 and B7. And here white can just, this is a one, I will say one example, what I've showed to my students also. This is not from the game, but just like example. Check. And F3 to allow the king to come. Centralization of the king. And preparation, let's say, of king to comes. Bishop D3, let's say, this is a small preparation, and now the king will come to the b6. But look at this. What I would like to teach you is push your side pawns to have the fixer. And these fixers are very efficient, and I will show you my one for the last. I will show you my game when I was, give me a moment, I was black against the Grandmaster Haba in Austrian League 1 year ago. And we go to this position. I have the bishop pairs. And in Zeitnot, this was the end of Zeitnot. Yes, bishop b4 and king b4. And now we leave the time, we have the time control, reach the time control. And look at this. This position is pretty well. Yes, and now it's a time. Look at this. When you don't know what to do in such a position, yes, very good. A4 is a good move. I agree to fixing them, but also I want to fix him on the king side firstly. I want to fix him on the king side firstly, not allow, let's say, G3, H4 from his. Yes, 3, exactly. And look at this, how it's more easier for you to understand how to play such endgame. I must tell you that if the pawn is on f5, then the position is practically close to win. But I have the defect of the structure on e4, and this is maybe not winning, but I push the h5, exactly. And then I play h4. Look at this, fixer number 1 is here. And this fixer fixed the pawn on h3 forever. Of course, on g3, I will play g5. And look now how I play. I have the, white has the barrier. My king cannot go. This was my big problem. But I'm maneuvering with bishops. Bishop a6. Again, the white established the barrier. And I play the fix number 2, a4. Look at this. I know how to play this. I play the 2 fixers and to play for 2 weakness. And like in every game, your opponent will make some kind of mistake. He play, let's say here my opponent played bishop f4, bishop b4, and probably he was expecting that I will go with king e5 and then he will give me check or take, but I find a very nice move, bishop e5. And now, to his horror, he realized that bishop c3 is not such a good move, because a3, bravo Lakshmi, a3, and a2, and now the pawn is extremely dangerous. Now, look at this. Now knight is complete, and look at this now, how my weakness, let's say my fixer is good, and he allowed me to take, let's say, the clear pawn, and now with the two best pawn, it's the rest is quite elemental. Okay, so after my bishop e5 move, white plays knight d1. Okay, he organized the defense. But now also I was the black, and now I go strongly with my king, because the king is the best one. He's the 4 units value. Exactly, I go with my king. He play bishop c3. I'm not care. And he go for my pawn. Look at this. But in bishop, as I told you, g5, okay, I can play g5. I can do it, but I saw here that I have even stronger. I can play even stronger than g5. No, I was go for king c4. Look at this. Yes, king c4. Go with the king. Go with the king. Take the pawn. My opponent played knight c3, attack to my pawns. He contraplayed me. No e3, no e3. King b3. Yes, Lakshmi. Yes, go forward. Go forward. I have my main trumps is my pawn. This one is my main. I just want to eliminate the pawn on b2 somehow. But okay, he took the pawn. So what to do now? Bishop c1. Well, but on bishop c1, I will overlook my bishop. Knight c5 is coming. Bishop b7. Srite has an idea. No, Srinivas, don't worry. I hope everybody sees this, that after bishop c1, unfortunately doesn't work because the white has a threat to fork. So, and so Srite Sataru have the idea. King c2. Look at this guy. Look at this move. This is exactly what I played in the game. King c2. And do you know why this move is so strong? Because mate on d2, yes, great. There is no knight c5. There is no knight c5. Look at this. This is what I tell you, that this is not surprise that mate exists always. Look at this. Mate, simple checkmate. So knight c5 doesn't work. And if he took the pawn, what was my main idea, that he will take the pawn. Now he's a 2 pawns up, but I will go for another one. And again, look at this. After bishop c1, again, there is no knight c5 because of checkmate. And if bishop goes here, look at this. As I told you, knight hits the side pawn, like here. Look at this. Because after knight c5, of course, black don't play bishop b5. Yes, exactly. Black play a3, and the pawn is unstoppable, just queening in next two moves. So I play really nicely here, king c2 move, and my opponent was in desperate position, and he played g3. And then your coach become a little bit old, and I don't know. I have 12 minutes on the clock, believe me, and I play impossible moves, big error, and I took the pawn without any reason. I take the pawn, took the pawn, and this, why this move is so bad? Because I simply forget that after bishop c1, what I forget is that he has the knight c. Yes, I opened the f2 squares, and this is not a mate, and now the game is drawish. So I play so bad move here when the position was actually winning. And after g3, of course, I should play the bishop to c1. There is no knight c5 move. Bishop d2 will be winning. And after bishop c1, let's say pawn takes, and like in the previous line, black is just winning here. So incredible. This was happened because, okay, I'm a little bit joking because I'm old, but I'm overlooked. And I was so disappointed because I played such a good endgame with two bishops. Yes, thank you. Thank you. But unfortunately, I was fall here. I take the pawn, and this was such a big mistake. And my opponent played now knight c5. And well, now the problem here is that after h4, when I took the pawns, my opponent has the final. He can sack the knight for the pawn and then offer draw, and of course this is a draw. So I used it. Yes, unfortunately it's a draw, but I was lack of concentration here. I saw everything, but look at this small mistake that I just allow him to go to f2, and this is and allow him knight c5. Of course, the right move was here, bishop c1, and there is no knight c5 move. Take, and look at this, how important is this 2-3 pawns doesn't mean nothing. The one what is important is the fixer on a4. Okay, that's from my side. Ben said, did we have some questions on the chat?
Yes, of course. Well, thank you. That was very interesting. You showed really good positions and techniques. Well, the first question is that I am taking one-on-one chess trainings from nurtr, Edge Prodigy program, and I get yoga and meditation lessons as part of the training regime from the coaches. And the question is that what is the importance of these lessons, the meditation and fitness lessons, in the long run?
Well, I like a coach. Usually, I think the coach is the best because he's short of the time and he exactly showed the students what to do. He short the time of the self-study because he exactly showed the student the material like we do today, let's say, and I will send you the materials, and if you're coaching with me one-on-one, I will show you even more the games, how to study some topic, like let's say 2 bishops, and give you the materials and the books, let's say some topic, let's say 2 or 3 books, the chapter in 2 or 3 books, how to self-study them, and this short your time to accept the knowledge. Then if you work without the coach. Without the coach, it's pretty difficult because then you need a lots of time to find all of this.
Okay, so the second question is that I have gained 100 ELO points in the last 3 years. I am 13 years old, and how can I do better? And should I go for a one-on-one trainings?
Yes, I'm really strongly recommended one-to-one trainings. Not so, let's say it's enough 1 or 2 hours per week, and then just to have a good coach who will advise you how to work additional, let's say 10-15 hours per every week, and to improve your progress and the coach definitely will improve your progress. I don't want to mention which coach because you should find which one is the best for you, but definitely the good coach. And of course, some coaches are better for some students, some coaches are better for another student. That this is a matter of, but the coach is useful. That's definitely.
Okay, so the third question is that how can someone be really good at calculations during endgames?
As I tell many times, set up the position on your chessboard, like what we analyzed today, and try to calculate. Always ask yourself, what I will play here. Calculate it as much as possible, and then look the solution. All the time you will be wrong. All the time you will be wrong, but don't worry. This is the training of calculation. Just calculate, and then correct your calculation, and again calculate. Don't training over just over the computer and say, oh yes, I know, yes, logical, yes, of course. No. Try to discover with yourself. You will see how difficult it is. Even, and you see my solution, I overlook in one move in real game because my calculation was, I just missed that the F2 is the king leads out of mate. So calculation, this is a very, very, you should practice it. Just do it.
Okay, yes, as for the fourth question, it's a bit different because it involves me a bit. So as I said at the beginning of the session, that I am a 22-28 rated player, 18 years old, and I am a moderator at nurtr and see a lot of questions on one-to-one trainings, and just want to share some personal experiences on one-to-one. Coaching definitely helps, and I think I would never be here without these one-on-one trainings with my coach. In the past, I experienced group lessons and later one-to-one lessons. What I must say that one-to-one lessons much more intense than the other one, and can learn more from that. Let's just say throughout the week, I have a training regime, like waking up in the morning, and during the day, approximately I train like, I don't know, 8 hours per day. And I train myself to solve studies, also review my openings, the end games. That's what we saw today also, that they are very important. And also watching new ideas on an opening or anything. And also I train with coach, Grandmaster Christian Savo, who is also a coach at nurtr. So I train with him like 5 hours per week. And probably that's it. So there's a question, Davor. Sorry for the wait. So what do you think the difference is between the group and one-to-one lessons?
Okay, the difference is such, of course, a huge, because on the group lessons we have some communication, but it's quite limited, and all your question and experience is limited to 10-20 people, and I don't know how, depends how many us on the lessons. And one-on-one is a pretty good, because as I tell you, that the coach can dedicate it to you. He can see your state of calculation, your state of mind, and he can fix and focus on your weakness. And this is definitely the best approach. The group lessons is quite good. Let's say, like here, to see the some topics, general topics, let's say about the bishop pairs, about and then this is a good start for investigate. Let's say become interesting. Someone can tell, oh, I don't know that the two bishops are such strong, like the Davor actually show us, and this is a surprise me, and I want to investigate a little bit more, because maybe someone don't any idea how strong the bishops can be with the pass pawn. Let's say that even the queen cannot stop them. So there is absolutely the benefit of the group lessons, but also the one-on-one, you can focus more, as you said, to on daily basis to work on chess, or on weekly basis to work and to improve. Because I can tell you, everyone, without hard work on chess, it's not easy to make a progress. 100 elo points is quite challenging to make progress without hard work. And also, Sitaram asked, is 54 like almost like me, close to work profession, following my passion of chess. I'm UCF. Okay, well, I can tell you that with 300 points is elo points, you definitely need the long period. About depends how time you have on chess, but it's definitely needs about 1.5 to 2 years estimation to work normally on chess. Let's say to 10 hours per week by yourself, study with a good trainer, with a good coach, maybe a little bit more. But it's not. I cannot tell you that it's possible in 6 months to push your rating to 300. Maybe you can do it. But then it means that you are a stronger player than 2000. Only this right now. Okay.
Okay, then there's no more questions.
No more questions.
So,
okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I hope we will see on our next session for a few weeks now.
Yes, me too. And also thank you everyone for the attention.